Hey there, Christian mamas. Now, tell me something. Are you feeling a bit isolated in your own motherhood journey? Do you find it challenging to connect with other moms who share your faith and values? Well, I can promise you that you are not alone. As a Christian mom myself, I know how vital it is to have a supportive community of like-minded, like-faith moms to turn to for guidance and encouragement. That's why I created this very episode where we're going to explore some tips and tricks for finding and connecting with spiritual mentors, specifically online, so that ultimately in your motherhood, mama, you can feel empowered and uplifted on your motherhood journey. So go ahead, you have my full permission to grab a cup of coffee, grab your Bible, get cozy, and let's dive in. Hey mama, welcome to the Energized Mama podcast. Do you want a better work-life balance and more time and energy? Do you find yourself thinking, how can I add more hours into the day? Or are you Googling how to deal with mom guilt and can my marriage survive toddlers? Do you wake up with big goals only to feel overwhelmed and defeated when you have no one to help you and your littles aren't listening to you again? Hey, I'm Cheyanne. I too was an exhausted mom away from the help of my family. I too felt constantly drained with a strong-willed toddler and wished I could find balance between being a wife, a mom, stepmom, and entrepreneur. I wanted more energy to give myself and my husband, to discipline my kids confidently, and incorporate faith into our home. All the things, right? But I kept telling myself that I couldn't do it feeling this exhausted and without a community supporting around me. Until I found a healthy balance and endless energy in raising Jesus-loving littles. In this podcast, you will find that too. You will find time and energy boosting tips and tricks, guidance for disciplining your littles, and what to do when you have no help so that you will find balance between all your roles. Stop feeling drained and learn to trust your own mom tuition. Time to grab those headphones, pour that green smoothie, and get ready to get your daily energy boost. I've got you, mama. Ooh, I'm getting God bumps over here. I am coming to you with a quick review from one of my favorite women in the world, someone that came on here and really shocked me when she left me a review. She's actually my business mentor, my spiritual mentor, Mrs. Stephanie Gass. Lady, thank you so much for this. I couldn't wait to come on here and share this one with you. She titles her review, "Get Off That Island, Mama." That's right. She goes on to say, even if you don't live by your family, you can feel supported and thrive in your mom tuition. Here are some tips for you raising littles and feeling empowered as a mom and a wifey. Amen, sister, from the same mister. I am so thankful that Steph left that review, but even more thankful that you're here and you're here listening and engaging in this episode of the Energized Mama podcast. If you'd like to leave me a review and possibly hear yours on a future episode, just head to Apple Podcasts, hit review, share with me what you think about this episode or any of the other ones that have touched your heart and soul. It's my honor to be here with you today, and let's go ahead and dive into this content.
Well, hello, all of you sensational ladies that are listening to this episode of Mom Nation. I am so blessed, so honored to have your ears and your heart here today because this episode is one that you guys have been asking me so much for in my reviews and in my private Facebook group. So many of you moms are feeling overwhelmed and a little bit isolated and really struggling with figuring out, how do I connect with other moms? There's so much on the internet nowadays where we can instantly feel like we're set up almost as enemies against each other, and so many opinions. It can be really hard to know, how do I just find someone that I can just be real and raw with and put my guard down? Well, I hear you, because I'm also a mom, a young mom that's raising my children away from a lot of my close connections in person. So I too have gone online and sought connection with moms online. And actually one of them is here today as one of my special guest hosts, because she definitely knows a thing or two about moms and about connecting with moms. So today I am so excited to bring to you live from South Africa, my new friend, Sonika, which she is a content creator, an entrepreneur, and a connector. And her heart is to help moms connect with themselves and connect with their hearts. But before I talk about her too much longer, I want to give her a chance to properly introduce herself. So I'm just going to say a big warm welcome on behalf of Mom Nation to Sonika. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for the lovely welcome and the heartfelt introduction. It's good to be here with all of you ladies and just explore deeper about what it means to be connected within and connected to the divine and God. Thank you for having me. So, as you introduced me so lovely, I have a heart for moms. Being a mama of 3 has really opened my eyes to the responsibility I have towards myself and to make sure that I am well. Because when I am well, I can be the most efficient mom for them. I can provide the safe space that they need, and I can just surround them with all the love that they deserve. So that is where my heart is, and just being with mamas and knowing that all is well and that you are doing an amazing job.
Oh my gosh. I already feel like you're one of our new like hype mans or hype woman, like really like giving us full permission to believe in ourselves and connecting with that intuition. And I love that. And it feels so natural to just have you here today. And you're definitely in a really perfect space to be able to talk about that. Because that's what the mamas listening today, that's what we care about. That's what we're intending. That's what we want. And, you know, you made such a great point about connecting with ourselves and looking at it almost through the eyes of your children. And I'm sure as a mom, all of us want our children to feel that way, to be connected to themselves. And I know we can often forget about ourselves or put ourselves on the back burner there. But something that, as I open the episode with, something that I would love to hear your insight on, Sonika, is that as it is so important for us to connect to ourselves, I think moms have this innate desire to connect with other women, to connect with other moms that have been where they're at. Maybe they're a few steps down the road, or just someone who's like right in the thick of it, right in the middle. And so I'm curious, what would you have to say to every mom listening if they have this desire to connect with other moms, especially finding like a spiritual community of moms that they can connect to and open up to? What's the best way that they can go about that?
That is really a good question. And I really do think it's very appropriate. When we spoke just before the interview recording about connection, and that social media has allowed us to connect with people all around the globe. And with that, it also came about that we have lost that sense of feeling that I belong somewhere. And it's easy. I felt from the moment that we started connected to you. So it's easier when you know who you are. So I'm going to start that if you want to connect with someone other than yourself, know first and foremost who you are. And one of the ways that you can do that is to know what is your core values. What do you value in yourself? And what is that thing that you are looking for in a friendship? Is it integrity? Is it loyalty? Is it to pray with someone? Is it to have a spiritual camaraderie who can take your hand and lead you through the valley of death? Or is it something else? When we want to connect with people, it's easy to say, oh, I want to connect with someone, but who do I want to connect with? And if I am open to being vulnerable to the people out there, then automatically I will attract the people that will be vulnerable with me as well. The book from Brene Brown that's so... Now I've lost my wording.
World-renowned or known? Yeah.
World-renowned, yes, that's the one. About being brave, about being vulnerable. Even in social media, even with technology, even if we are worlds apart, we can be vulnerable. We can feel that connection. It's just, are you open for that connection so that other people can see your heart?
That's absolutely beautiful, beautiful point. And I love that. I love that. So the first step to finding moms that you can connect with is really, you're painting such a beautiful picture of reminding moms to connect first with themselves and to know themselves. And what a beautiful positioning of the heart and that confidence that you can bring into that space too, when you know who you are and don't feel like you have to apologize, when you just are like, okay, this is me and this is who I am and this is what I'm seeking. And, you know, as a follow-up question, Sonika, sometimes I think as a mom myself of little ones, and I even have a teenager as well, full-time in the house. So I'm meeting moms of like different ages, different values, different beliefs. And there's some that I really connect with. And I guess for lack of a better term, really feel that vibe with, right? But I
Yes.
think that there can be so much anxiety around opening up and being vulnerable with moms. And so I'm wondering if there's any kind of indicators that you would share, that like, how do we know if we found our tribe? It's like, is there something that you think that we might feel? Are there, like, how sometimes when people are looking for their spouses, they have a checklist, like, yep, okay. Now I know, or at least he's in that realm, So like, how does a mom know if she's found her tribe of moms to connect with?
You use the example of the tick list with your spouse, and I think that is one of the most perfect explanations. You will just have a gut feeling. When I was pregnant with my firstborn, my mother-in-law gave me this advice, and I've been using it for all of the 10 years that I've been a mom. And she said to me, just trust your gut. Your instinct will know. And I think as moms, we can use that gut feeling for more than just raising our children. We can use that to connect with other people. You said you used the word vibe. You will catch the vibe. If it's a little bit off, then you won't feel connected. And if it's on point, you will know it in your heart. That gut feeling, trust it, because it's the Holy Spirit that is guiding you towards being vulnerable, being open for that relationship to develop.
Wow. Yes, that is such great wisdom. And I love, as soon as you said mother-in-law, I'm like, ooh, I can't wait. I know for some people that maybe that strikes different emotions when they hear mother-in-law, but I just feel like whether it is a mother-in-law biologically or a spiritual mother-in-law, right? Like someone who's gone before us, like obviously this woman she's helped give you the gift of your husband, but she has been a mom for longer. And so I love mom mentors. I love women who are there, who have walked some steps before us. So that's really great advice, because something that I'm really discovering, Sonika, at the point of this episode, I've been a mom 3 years, and we're recording this early in the spring, 2023. So I'm kind of on this journey myself of discovery of how much we have forgotten about our gut and how much we don't listen to it. And I really, again, us going back to that kind of that simplistic, conversation we had in the very beginning about social media, is I do think there's just so much noise in today's world, right? Whether it is social media or it's just society. I mean, you can't walk out your door without seeing some kind of advertising, or there's the radio on, or TV is telling you something. And then we have that device in our hands all the time. So I think that it can be really hard, but I love that you've recentered us almost. Like you've brought us women back that are listening today and say, hey, like, allow your gut, even when it maybe doesn't make sense, and allow the Holy Spirit to really guide you, even in things beyond your motherhood. Yeah. Cause it's like, it's one thing to feel that motherly instinct and that gut, but also when it comes to who we are and valuing who we are. And something I wanted to hear your thoughts on also is, so say mamas out there that are listening, they're like, okay, Sonika, so I connect with myself, I'm listening to my intuition, and I really feel like I have found this tribe. Is there anything that you would say that would be like red flags, or something that they should look out for when it comes to looking for a group to connect with, especially if it's online? Because sometimes it can be, it can be a little overwhelming sometimes to try to put yourself out there and connect. And we can very easily sometimes, again, it all goes back to the gut, I think, not listen to our own intuition. So is there anything you would say that women should be mindful of, maybe that would be some red flags about connecting with people, especially in the online space?
From personal experience, I'm going to share a story I saw earlier.
Please.
I'll go back to the beginning of the year. So I have a godchild, and we went to we call it a groentjie concert in Afrikaans. So it's a introduction to the high school. And they went back to the 80s when There wasn't TV like we know today, and social media wasn't there. And there was these three grade eights that was almost the mockery of social media. And one of them was part of the mommy groups. We all know those mommy groups. And it was really a mockery. But when we went home that night, I said to my husband, it's so sad because that is the truth. That is the way women go about one another in these groups. And earlier today, I saw a post from a mama who asked some advice. And in her post, she said she was heartbroken because of all the negativity and hurtful things other moms said to her in the advice she sought out. And in that moment, I realized that I don't know where we as women went wrong in how we go about with other people's emotions. We most probably react from a place of hurt and from a place that is unhealed. And then we just react and we want to shout out and just say these hurtful things because I'm hurting inside. And I think that is one of the most biggest red flags there can be. See how the women treat each other. Make connections with the administrators and see how relatable they are. Because if the administrator of the group is not relatable and she's not interested in guiding the group, then there will be havoc in that group. If the administrator is steadfast, if she has an integritous soul, then that group will also be a group of integrity. And then you will feel that connection. And what if women ask for advice, if mamas ask for advice and it is something that you can, some value that you can bring, put yourself out there. Share one-liner if you have to, if you want to. And if you want to say something nasty, just keep quiet. I think that is one of the biggest lessons we can learn is we don't always have to respond. Yeah. We can just let the post go by and not respond at all.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's so great because you gave some really great, I feel, tactical steps of how a mom can almost like vet like a group, like can kind of check it out and see like, is this a space and a place where I can imagine myself growing and imagine myself being supported and finding connection. And something that I want to make sure I bring up, ladies, maybe this is a point where you want to pause and rewind and listen because Sonika said it so beautifully, is it's also about participating yourself, because I know that that's also a place of comfort online, is that it can be so easy for us to be observers. But when you're an observer in life, you could only gain so much from that. I feel like we're really meant to be participators. And I know it can be scary. I know it can be really vulnerable, but it's like, I've learned in my life, this phrase came to me a few years ago, that vulnerability is the key or the pathway to transformation. And I feel that as moms, if you want to transform in your mom life, or if you want that transformation in your soul and yourself and who you are now as a mom, because we know that when you give birth to a baby, but you also give birth to this new person, this woman that you're becoming. And there's certainly no guidebook, right? I don't know if you got one. Did you get one? I didn't get one. Okay.
No.
I wasn't sure if they were handing those out in South Africa, but right. None of us has this like guided path of how to do it, what to do, who to connect with. And, so I love that you reminded us of that, is to be real and vulnerable ourselves and to step out. I also encourage mamas. It's like, say you want to connect in person, or you do have this, like these values or these, maybe these passions that you're looking for a mom group online and you haven't found one. I encourage them, create one, be that answer, right? Because so often it's like, if you're thinking it and feeling it, you're not the only one,
Absolutely.
Right. And so to finalize and pull this episode to a close, I acknowledge that there are mamas out there, maybe you listening, that have had a bad experience with moms groups or with connecting with other women, whether it's in person or online. And maybe you're afraid to do that again, to open yourself up and to experience that again. So Sonika, I just want to know if you have any lasting words of either encouragement or advice to a mom who's had a bad experience and she so desperately feels this desire to connect with other moms spiritually, but is afraid to put herself out there again. What would you say to her?
This past weekend, I had the opportunity to preach a sermon, and the topic was, take off your shoes. You are healed and healing parts. And I refer to the Exodus 3, where Moses was called in the burning bush, and where God said to him, take off your shoes before you approach me further. And I want to use that example to say that even if you felt hurt, even if you had the struggle, take off your shoes for a moment and remember that most women is still on a journey of healing themselves, of being healed, and also knowing that some of the healing hasn't even started yet. Take off your shoes and remember that you and they are holy as well. And you don't have to put yourself out there to expose yourself. As you said, don't just observe, participate with what you are most comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Take off your shoes. I was over here taking my notes. I was taking notes like, ooh, I want to go deeper. And I want to, dive into scripture, even more now. And I love that. I love that. It's almost like it reminds me of a humbling thyself, right? Because every mom, I realize, I think becoming a mom myself, I've definitely learned to give my own mom grace a lot more. And it's ironic. Her mom's name was Grace. So it always, my grandma always reminds me of that grace twofold, but also, like conversations like this, Sonika, I think you bring us back to that moment or that understanding of like, we all need that grace and we all make mistakes. Mm-hmm. And exactly, maybe that mom that maybe offended you or hurt your feelings, maybe she was needing some healing. Maybe she was having a bad day or a bad space. We all have those as human beings, but especially as moms raising mm-hmm. little ones. And so it's like offering that moment, those women grace, but also offering yourself grace, because we don't always do it right. We don't always do it perfect. And, we need that too, especially when we are maybe the ones that have made the mistakes too. I know that is a barrier to entry, as far as sometimes taking that leap of faith is when we feel that guilt in ourselves too. And so like, freeing yourself of that as well. And I believe that every mama who wants to connect with other moms, you have that ability, you have that gift, and you have our full permission. Sonika and I will give you full permission to do that and to definitely connect with yourself first and foremost.
Absolutely, yes.
And so speaking of connection, Sonika, this has been such a wonderful opportunity to connect with you. And I want to make sure I give the opportunity to all my listeners who are just loving you, loving your heart, loving your spirit, who would like to connect with you further. Can you please share with them how they can do that?
Thank you so much. And thank you again for having me. I have enjoyed our time so much. It was so good, the questions you asked and just connecting mm-hmm. with your heart as well. So I can be found on Facebook. That is where I am most active. You can just search for Sonika Kruger. In Afrikaans, it's Kruger, but you can search for Sonika Kruger and just connect with me there. I do have a Facebook page, but it's not really happening. So just connect with me on my profile. You can send me a private message. I will be on Messenger as well. And that is the most efficient places to find me, is on Facebook.
Perfect. And as moms, we love efficiency, right? And I am going Absolutely. To make it even simpler for you ladies. No worries that I will go ahead and put her links directly in the show notes below. So you can just scroll down wherever you're listening to this podcast and hit the link, and it will take you directly to her and connect you to her. So Sonika, oh my goodness. Thank you so much. In Afrikaans, is it dank je? Can I say thank you? How do you say
Yes,
thank
that
you?
will donkey. Boy a
Dunk.
donkey.
Okay, boy a donkey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boy a donkey.
Okay, we all learned some
Yes.
Afrikaans on this episode today. Bonus tip.
Bonus.
I love it. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
just not just giving us your time, but also your beautiful words of wisdom and your insight here. And I'm just so blessed to have had you on this episode today.
It's just my greatest pleasure. And thank you for having me. I've really, really enjoyed our time together and connecting with your people as well.
Likewise. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us here at Mom Nation, where my heart and desire is, like Sonika, to help you connect to yourself, connect to God, and find that balance that you're seeking for and raise those Jesus loving littles. That is such a desperate desire of your heart. I'm so happy that you found me here, and I look forward to loving on you and encouraging you on a future episode here at Mom Nation. Have a blessed and beautiful day. Here's a virtual hug.
Hey, girlfriend. Yes, mama, I'm talking to you. I have a question for you. Do you wish that there was a way to stop feeling emotionally drained by your life as a mom of littles? Or how about have more energy for your husband without constantly feeling physically exhausted? I know what it feels like to want more from your life than just being a mom. I know what it feels like to be overwhelmed with where to begin to stop the stress in my everyday life and to have absolutely no idea what healthy habits to implement in my own home that'll actually make a difference. I know what it feels like to be totally lost and how to create a realistic and sustainable plan that works for me and not everyone else. And just to basically think, I just can't be energetic while I parent a household full of littles that demand so much of me. And, well, at least one that doesn't rely on either coffee for energy or wine to de-stress. Am I right? Let's take a moment and imagine if you no longer felt completely exhausted at the end of your day. What if you had the time to go on dates with your husband and you had the energy to give yourself some much needed me time and you had easy to implement systems and strategies that would allow you to be that energetic and vibrant mama that you want to be, all while still raising your kids the way you want? Well, I have great news for you. That's why I created the More Energy Method, a customized blueprint to clear your chaos and bring back more energy into your everyday life. It's where I teach you to decrease stress while increasing your energy. Win-win. You'll be able to stick with this super simple plan, tailor-made for you, mama, that will establish new healthy habits that'll unlock energy without taking away focus from your kids or require huge commitments of time. You'll walk away with crystal clear clarity of exactly what to focus on, with a plan that'll help you know exactly how to do it and the confidence as a woman, wife, and mother to make the changes you need to and to keep them for good. So if you're ready to stop feeling overwhelmed and exhausted the moment you wake up and instead trade that in for feeling rejuvenated throughout the day and go to bed satisfied, even as a busy mom of littles, then head right now to energyformoms.com and grab hold of my Blast Off to Summer special where you will get $40 off. Did you know that the average cost of drinks on a date night is $40? Hey, consider that my gift from me to you and your husband, mama. Now, this offer expires July 31st, so don't miss out. Head on over to energyformoms.com. It's time to lose the stress while gaining yourself back and have endless amounts of energy for yourself, for your husband, and a life beyond just your littles.